Hi all, today we are going to talk about Oracle basics, and in particular we are going to concentrate on create table statement in Oracle. Let's go through our objectives for today. First is, what is a table? Now when we are talking about relational databases, first thing that normally would come to our mind is table, right? Because when we talk about relational databases, we talk about the data, and typically data is stored in tables. So that's the first thing that has to come to our mind, right? So next we are going to check on syntax of this create table statement, and then we are going to check on the naming conventions that one need to follow while creating a table, while providing names in those columns. So that's what we are going to check. And then next up would be data types in Oracle that we could use while creating the table, and afterwards we'll check on primary and foreign key constraints. So in Oracle we have a lot of constraints, but today's video lecture will concentrate on these two. We are not going to go deep in these constraints because we will have separate video to cover all the constraints in Oracle, but today we are just going to concentrate on primary and foreign key constraints, and then we'll close out today's session with couple of examples. Okay, so that's the objectives for today. Now let's check what is a table. So like we were discussing, table is a basic unit for data storage in an Oracle database, or rather in any relational database. Okay, so data normally gets stored in the form of rows and columns, and when we try to visualize it, it should be something like this. There are a set of columns, and when one adds a row or adds a record, it should get added in the form of rows, right? So when we create this table, there should be some kind of, I think there are three kind of mandatory things that we need to have. First is a table name, so that we can use that table name to retract or retrieve data, right? Then column names, to know what all the column names that are going to belong to that table, and then data types for each column, so to signify what type of data that particular column is going to have, right? So okay, let us check on the syntax of the create table statement. It is something like create table and then the table name. So if I take an example of the customer information, so I want to store customer information in a table, I would give a table name something like customer. This will enable me to make sure that other users, when they come across a table such as customer, they would be able to identify that that particular table could contain customer information. So what I'm trying to say is, whenever we are creating a table, we should provide a meaningful name to that table. Now when you are creating a table, you need to provide the column information as well. So in our example, I have provided 3 columns, or this particular customer table has 3 columns. First is the customer name, it's called customer number, and it has data type number. So with column names, you also need to provide data types of every column. Now customer name has varchar data type, department number has number data type, and there is one more rule for every column in Oracle data type. That particular column needs to be a nullable column, or it needs to be a not null column. Now what do I mean by that? So nullable column can contain null values, and not null column cannot contain null values for every record in that particular table. Okay, so in our example, customer number and department number are null column as of now, and customer name is a not null column. Okay, so this is how you do that. Now every table can contain one primary key, and how do you define that? Using this particular syntax: constraint name, primary key, and then the column name. Now in our example, customer number is going to be a primary key. Now what do you mean by primary key? We are going to see in some time. Okay, now and then every table can contain several foreign keys, and how do you define those foreign keys? Using this syntax: constraint name, foreign key, then the column name. So this column name would be a column name of the table which we are creating, and reference is table which we are referring to, and column of that table which we are referring to. Okay, so in our scenario, or in our example, constraint customer fk, foreign key, department number is the column on which we are creating the foreign key. So this department number is of customer table. Okay, referencing to department number. So this department number is referring to department number column of department table. Okay, this is the syntax of create table statement. Before we move on to next topic, let me tell you, primary key and foreign key, on and not null, these are different constraints that Oracle has. Now we are going to have a separate video lecture on this, because it's a big and very important topic in Oracle concepts. So we are going to have a separate video on that. Okay, let's spend some time in checking out some table and column name rules, or naming convention rules, that Oracle has. So first rule is that table name or column name must begin with a letter. You cannot have a table name starting with a number. So one customer, it's a syntax error for Oracle. Okay, second rule is that table name or a column name cannot be longer than 30 characters. Okay, it's a simple rule. So table name or a column name can contain alphanumeric characters, keeping in mind the first rule, right? And it can also contain it can also contain three special characters, which are dollar, underscore, and hash symbol. Okay, fourth rule is it cannot be a reserved word. So what do you mean by reserved word? There are certain words which Oracle has as a reserved word, something like select, insert, or in, exist. There are a lot of others as well, but just an example. Okay, now let's go into Oracle window and see if whatever I'm saying is right. Okay, now this first statement has first letter of the table name as a number. Let me execute this. See, I'm getting error as invalid table name. Okay, second statement has a number before the, first character in the column name is number. Let me execute this. See, error. Okay, now in this example, select is the table name, which is a reserved keyword. Okay, see, I'm getting error here as well. Now here select is the column name. Let's run this. I'm getting error. Okay, okay, let's spend some time in understanding data types of Oracle. Now we are going to briefly see what are the built-in data types of Oracle, but there are user defined types as well, but we are not going to concentrate on them. Now on high level, these are the data types, built-in data types that you can have. Now I have segregated on the basis of the type. So basically char type, r character, var char, n char, and n char 2. Number types are number and float. Date types are date and timestamp. Long types are blob, and n blob. Row ID, are row ID and euro ID. So these are the data types, and um, I'll try to prepare one video lecture on this as well, so that we can see what all things or what are the differences amongst these data types. But on high level, these are the types that we have, and I mean, if we can easily get from the type itself what kind of data those particular data types could have. Okay.